Majila compensates Denton Bridge women rice cultivators. These and more coming on Gambia 24. Good evening, you're watching Gambia 24 News with me, Mariama Cham, and thanks for joining us. Long before the arrival of COVID-19 vaccines in the Gambia, many people have already made up their minds that the vaccine is a no-go area for them. Some of them cited many unfounded theories attached to the vaccination program as bias. The health authorities have confirmed the vaccination of over 21,000 people across the country. Despite this achievement, they still encounter with people who are not willing to take the vaccine due to what they call social media theories against the vaccine. More in this report.
The Gambia is expected to receive sufficient vaccines before the end of this year from the COVAX facility to ensure the vaccination of 20% of the population, approximately 480 people. However, the health authorities says over 21,000 people have so far taken the vaccination across the country. Mbenjai from the expanded program on immunization says the misinformation about the vaccine is still a challenge to get people vaccinated.
Misinformed, there are a lot of misinformation among people because population with the social media sending WhatsApp messages telling them the vaccine is not good and all those things, they are here to kill people and the like. Those were some of the messages that people have been talking about. And then we definitely, as we speak, we have caravan around going from community to community in all the regions, discussing with people. Yesterday, I was just in the North Bank West when we visited Fas Omar Saho and also Kir Mama to talk to people about the COVID-19 vaccination.
Mr. Njai says the security sector and other populated government institutions have taken their vaccines.
For the health workers, we are definitely reaching them. We've vaccinated so far up to about 80% of our health workers. Yet to receive, have to add, get the final numbers. Our challenge is now how we get these other populations. But because the reason is that we do not have enough vaccines, so that's why we are not going out aggressively to the communities to vaccinate them. So because we only had 50,000 doses in the country, and then we're trying to be very, very cautious not to also give out all and the others will not have their second doses. So that's why we are definitely trying to be very cautious, but we'll ensure that once we have adequate vaccines in the country, we will go aggressively, just like a campaign mode sort of. Vaccination teams will be spread across all the country, in all the communities, visit all the communities, and then we vaccinate in the populations.
Vaccines are termed as a critical tool in the battle against COVID-19, and it is hugely encouraging to see so many vaccines prove successful and going into development. Working as quickly as they can, scientists from across the world are collaborating and innovating to bring tests, treatments, and vaccines that will collectively save lives and hopefully end the pandemic soon. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Mariama Cham.
The Sino Majilak Jalbag Breeding Company has on Tuesday compensated women rice cultivators who were using the company's current location for their rice cultivation at the Denton Bridge. The reason for the compensation, according to the officials, is to support the women throughout their life, even though the land they were using for farming wasn't their own. Amanda tells us more.
Sino Majilak Jalbag is a sand dragging company, which is at the verge of selling sand to the Gambians. The company's headquarters is located at a place where the women cultivators used to conduct their farm activities at the Denton Bridge. According to Momodu Jamasware, a consultant at Sino Majilak, the company promised to support the women throughout their life, even though the land wasn't owned by them.
We were given a list of women. I think, if my memory is right, it's about 11 of them. With their support group, it would have been more than that. But initially, 11 women were using it as a rifle. The company promised them that although the area is being allocated to them by government, they are Muslims, they are Gambians, they are humble. If they can prevent the destruction of land, they are not for the animals there and the trees to suffer, and to be destroyed. They will not do that to the women here also. So they will make sure these women also will not cry. And they told them, as far as we are going to be operating here, we will make sure you are never forgotten.
Denani Konta, one of the women who benefited from the company's support, prayed for the long lasting of the company.
The
chat we had with you guys since in the beginning, we are never sad about it. The only thing we can do is to thank and pray for your company. May the company last forever, and whatever we are praying for it, may it be accepted by the grace of Allah.
Amar Jan, the CEO of Sino Majilak, said their motive is to make a difference in the society and people's lives.
It doesn't cost much, but that act makes a big difference. And for Sino Majilak Jalbak, our ultimate objective of operating or setting up in Gambia is to make a difference to society and to people's lives. So this is just one of many initiatives that are in the pipeline that we will be looking into going into the future. But for those women for now, this is the second year that we're compensating them to give them more than their harvest from what they used to have on a land that we were legally allocated for our project.
Sino Majilak Jalbak started this sand project 2 years ago to make sure that sand is being dug offshore and brought onshore for people to use it and not to destroy the environment. The ambition of the company is to stop people from crying over their land degradation due to sand mining. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Amindao.
Senior management of the Ministry of Health and CEOs of various health centers across the country gathered on Tuesday to review the draft National Health Policy and Strategic Plan. The review is meant to discuss key issues that are not indicated in the policy during drafting and also for the senior management to have a clue about the document. Daisy was there and she files in this report.
The National Health Policy is drafted to promote and protect the health and well-being of Gambians through fair provision of health care for everyone. Following the draft of the document, senior management at the Ministry of Health converged to make recommendations on the areas that were not captured in the draft policy. Jibril Jaju, the Director of Planning and Information at the Ministry of Health, said the recommendations made during the review will be put into consideration.
We already have an expert team in policy development under my directorate, which I am leading. So, and we have a team already on the ground, which is a rapporteur team. So they are taking on board all the comments that people are, all the contributions, that they are also making. Then from there now, we will now have a 2-day, 3 days internal meeting at the Directorate of Planning, where we will incorporate all the comments. Once they are incorporated, then we will circulate the final draft for people to look at and then invite them for validation meeting.
National Health Draft Policy came at a time when the Gambia is battling with the COVID-19 pandemic. The Permanent Secretary One at the Ministry of Health, Mohamed Lamin Jaita, said the pandemic is part of the challenges they encountered during the process, assuring that they will be addressed.
So the situational analysis identified all the challenges and achievements that we have made to date. And these challenges are now going to be looked into so that we formulate concrete strategies to address them, but also to come up with strategies that will make sure that the achievements made are sustained and further developed upon. So this is what we are doing here, and we believe by the end of the day, we will be able to come out with a final document that will be very ripe and up for the final validation and implementation.
As the health policy of the Gambia expires 2020, there is a need for the health sector to have a new policy in place that will guide the program implementation and management of the health system for the next 10 years. The drafted document, if validated and adopted, will boost the country's health sector by providing quality, affordable and accessible health services for everyone. It is also expected to reduce the prevalence of non-communicable diseases as well as promote transparency in the healthcare system. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am DCC.
The former lead counsel of Jammeh Commission set to investigate the financial activities of the Jammeh government appears before the Truth Commission to give her testimony on her role in the promulgation of the AFPRC decrees. Mrs. Bensouda confirmed assisting with the creation of decrees but denied assisting in the violations brought by the decrees. More in this report by Amindao.
The Truth Commission continues to hear testimonies from legal professionals that work with the AFPRC regime and are labeled as enablers to the military in drafting decrees that later violated rights of citizens under Jammeh. Today, former Acting Attorney General and Solicitor General Ami Bensouda appears to give testimony on her role in the drafting of the decrees. Mrs. Bensouda says she opposed the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council's takeover but accepts taking part in the promulgation of military decrees in 1994.
He asked me about decrees. Because he knew that in coups in Nigeria and Ghana, the decrees were what the military used to rule the countries. I responded that these were in the nature of laws and we had a department and he wanted to know how decrees could be made. I told him that there was a department in the ministry that drafted law. So by the time our meeting came to a close, he wanted the ministry to draft a decree that reflected the situation.
Mrs. Bensouda explains that the purpose of the decrees was to put in place a framework for the de facto existing situation after the 1994 coup.
I said yes, we could send him a draft.
Decree
which reflected the situation was a decree which a decree which establish the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council as announced.
Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council.
What decree was that?
Suspend the executive. We subsequently drafted a decree which we sent and which became decree number 1.
Rules by decrees is a style of government used by military officers after a coup. Decree laws are used to suspend the constitution in most cases, which leads to violations of the rights of people. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Amindao.
The TRC report by Amindao will take us to a quick break and we'll be right back with the rest of the news on Gambia 24. Stay with us.
The pride we take in our brand, the work we put into constantly change the landscape and elevate real estate in the Gambia, it's compared to none. From inception, our goal was to add value to the beautiful Gambian landscape. That's why we are proud innovators of community estates. Kololi Sands is an exceptional piece of work, tailored for ultimate convenience and luxury, to bring you an element of finesse that is rare but unique in its own. This is also our pride and joy, and we welcome you to the exquisite beauty right here in Kololi and right here on the waterfront. Kololi Sands, feel the ocean breeze at your doorstep.
coono di dem dëkk ba dëkka rawatina ba foofa ca Sénégal pour jëndi daal jeex na fii ci biir réew mi ak Stroll Company sa jaaxle jeex na waaw dineen defar bépp xeeti daal te itam dinay dégee rafet ci ay njëkk yu yomb compagnie bi lee di Stroll dineen la defaral daala aso bi fekkee ne danga nekk ci political party bugga nga nuroo leeg say waay ngay dem foofa ca Stroll Company yi daal di la defaral daala bu dëgër baax te rafet moo xam itam danga am xew bugga sa yére nuroog sa daala demal seeti ñii di Stroll Company te emuñ ci loolu dinañ la defaral sa daala si saasi boo demee ñi nata la nga toog wax leen li nga bëgg ñi defaral la ko te itam dinañ defar daala si wholesale wala retail seeti leen foofa sa Suncu Alaaji te nag lu ci gën a neex mooy doomi Gambian moo ko moom teg ci di dimbale ay ndaw pour ñi am fu ñuy xëyee seeti leen foofa ca Suncu Alaaji ca Kunkujang Johnson boo demee rek di nga gis seen table nga daal di leen dem seeti sa xol ne nga am sa daale boo yàgg mi bét mun ngaa nemmeeku seen website bi si www.strollshops.com wala nga oo ñu si 7473692 wala 7150195 ak Stroll Company sa jaaxle jeex na ci dem beeg dëkk bi ci dàlla kese.
Welcome back, and you're still watching Gambia 24. The Gambia government has recently celebrated the significant gains the country registered in advancing media freedoms when Reporters Without Borders released the 2021 Press Freedom Index. The France-based human rights watchdog confirmed that the Gambia is ranked 9th in the West Africa and 10th in Sub-Saharan Africa. But what does this achievement mean to Gambian journalists? Our reporter Binta Jallo spoke to some of them, and she files in this report.
Since the regime change in 2016, journalists have been harassed in different occasions and some of them arrested. And the suspension of some radio stations in 2020 reminded journalists the dark days of Jammeh era. However, many people in the journalism profession feel safer and excited to practice the trade in the Barrow-led administration. According to the 2021 Press Freedom Index of Reporters Without Borders, Gambia has registered significant gains in advancing media freedoms. The France-led human rights watchdog said Gambia is ranked 85 out of 180 countries surveyed in 2021, a 2-point improvement from 87 in 2020. From the 55 African countries assessed, the Gambia is ranked 9 in West Africa and 10th in Sub-Saharan Africa. To the Gambia government, it is a remarkable achievement for a nation that for 2 decades trailed behind most countries. Demba Ali Jawo, the former Minister of Information and Communication Infrastructure, believes that there seems to be a little development but still room for improvement.
I think it is not very bad at the moment. It is definitely not very bad because at least we know that getting information from the government is not a very easy thing. But at least since the beginning of this regime, things have not turned out as nasty as they used to be during the former regime. So I think it's a bit encouraging, but I think the government needs to do more. And and the best way they can go about that is to pass the access to information bill. In that case, if that bill is passed and it becomes law, then the journalists can be able to obtain the information from the authorities as they want. Because at the moment there is nothing compelling the authorities to give out any information to a journalist because there is no law in place for that.
The Vice President of the Gambia Union, Mohamed Exba, also acknowledged the gains the Gambia has registered, but quick to suggest that the draconian laws should be repealed.
However, we're looking forward for Gambia to be at least among the 5, at least first 5, if not the first countries that encourage press freedom. How will Gambia improve on that is to at least, change some of the draconian laws that are in some of the acts like the Information Act and also the Criminal Code.
The president of the Young Journalists Association, Yankuba Jallo, said not much is achieved when it comes to media freedom in the Gambia.
The government is talking about the pluralism of media houses, and that is an achievement. One can argue on that line, but the most important thing as far as the operation of media is concerned is to have the laws in our favor. And this is why the government should prioritize the reforms. Since the change of regime, The government has not taken any serious step to change or reform any repressive media law. Still, we still have those laws here. The laws that they are claiming that are reform were the laws that the Gambia Press Union battled at the Supreme Court and succeeded. So the Supreme Court decided some of them as unconstitutional. So it does not mean like it is their doing, but it is the court's doing.
Press freedom is a prerequisite for the establishment of a functioning democratic system of government and governmental human rights. It is viewed by many as a fundamental necessity for democratic governance. Thus, governments are expected to permit the press, and particularly the private ones, to function responsibly without undue obstruction. Press freedom is not only an indispensable pillar of democracy, but it is also important for the long-term sustainability of social and economic development. For iAfrica News, Binti Jallo.
The founder of Join Hands to Save a Baby, Amijaju, has donated 5 blood bank refrigerators to the Ministry of Health on Monday. The donation is helped to reduce the high risk of maternal deaths in the Gambia as the country witnesses an increase in maternal mortality in the past 4 months. Naisise Fall sent this report.
Maternal mortality is one of the main indicators of the quality of healthcare delivery in a country. In the past few months, the joy of welcoming a new baby into the world can turn out to be a devastating sadness when the mother died during or after childbirth. To this effect, a project called Join Hands to Save a Baby was initiated by Amijaju, a Gambian citizen residing in the UK. She has been donating medical equipment to the country's health sector, and this time donated 5 blood refrigerators to the health ministry. The program manager of the National Blood Transfusion Services, Mariama Jambe, said the project was launched to support the blood transfusion services in the Gambia.
This project was launched to support the National Blood Transfusion Services of the Gambia to help reduce the challenges of blood inadequacy in our health facilities, and also to help women and children who need blood to get safe blood transfusion in a timely manner.
Madam Jambe said these refrigerators are specially meant for storage of blood and will be taken to key health centers across the country, including Basse and Brikama hospitals. Abdullah Jaju, a member of the project, said the project is making a great impact on the lives of many in the country since its inception.
The foundation has conducted several blood drives in support, with the support of technicians from the National Blood Transfusion Service for storage in various hospitals in the country. We believe that these refrigerators will be of great essence in the aforementioned fight. There is no doubt that the project is making significant impact on many lives in this country. As this has been the mantra of Join Hands to Save a Baby, to impact positively on the lives of the less privileged, particularly women and children in the Gambia.
The Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmad Lamin Samate, revealed that maternal deaths are high in many countries, but the Gambia's maternal deaths has been the lowest in the African sub-region.
Maternal mortality is high in many developing countries. The loss of a single mother is sad enough, talk less of if it's more than one. But as a country, maternal mortality has been declining in the Gambia over the period, even though it is high, but it is going down. The Gambia's maternal mortality ratio is one of the lowest in the sub-region as we speak to you. But we say to ourselves, we don't want a single mother to die because of pregnancy. So we have to put all hands on deck, inshallah, to ensure that that happens.
Join Hands to Save a Baby project was initiated on the 24th of October 2020 by a UK-based Gambian, Amijaju. According to officials, the project has since inception spent over $1 million. Amijaju is said to have been donating medical items to the various health facilities across the country to help the government to fight against maternal deaths. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Daisy C.
Now, former Attorney General and Minister of Justice Joseph Henry Diouf says the amendment of a section of the Constitution that allowed ex-President Jammeh to appoint traditional rulers was meant to stop one family rule. He defended the amendment of law that barred the granting of bail to people charged with treason, murder and rape offences, saying it was necessary to deter others from committing such crimes. Omar Ahmed Ture reports.
Over 30 amendments were done to the Constitution at the time Joseph Henry Diouf served as Minister of Justice. Among them was the power given to the President to appoint traditional rulers. But to Joseph Diouf, the amendment on this part of the Constitution was not to make the President all too powerful, but to end perpetual rule by one family.
As far as I was concerned,
was
that in a democratic society, no family, no single family should monopolize power.
démocratie daal benn geño rek warta nekk ñoo xam ne ñoom ñoo war a sës rek si nguur.
Everyone is equal before the law and in terms of opportunities.
Section 99 of the Constitution was also amended to deny bail for people charged with treasonable offences and murder. Joseph justifies it, saying it was done to stop the convicts from fleeing. However, Council Singate reminds him that this law has taken the rights of citizens to defend themselves in courts, as it is only the courts that have the discretion to determine the innocence or guilt of an individual and give bail to those charged for life imprisonment. Lawyer Diouf, however, disagrees.
Well, it just depends, because I think there was a time when the public felt that the conditions of bail granted to people who had committed very serious offenses were very lax or minimal. And it was not fair that this should be allowed to go on, especially in serious cases. So government had to step in and ensure that, some of these activities and crimes were not committed all the time. It was not rampant.
The former Attorney General and Minister of National Assembly Matters also touches on the provision that amended the 50+1 to simple majority, where the first person to pass the post becomes the winner, saying that system was better than the second round of voting. He argues that the system was not put in place to favor Jammeh, as it was evident in the 2016 election that he lost to the coalition. Joseph Henry Diouf, a Gambian lawyer, politician, and a writer, was born in 1960. He attended Kelly University from 1981 to 1985. He served as president of the Gambia Bar Association from 1998 to 2001, and later Attorney General and Minister of Justice of the Gambia from 2001 to 2003. For iAfrica TV, this is Omar Ahmad Ture reporting.
Well, that TRC report by Omar Ahmed Ture brings us to the end of Gambia 24 News. I am Mariama Cham. Thanks for watching and do have a wonderful evening.